Hey everybody, Russell Westcott, professional real estate investor, published author, inspiring public speaker, and hashtag JVJedi. I want to share with you a video that we put out a little while ago now. It was an update on the Alberta and Edmonton real estate marketplace. Made a few pretty big, bold predictions and some insights into what's going on in the marketplace. I'm going to leave this video online, so pay attention to when this was shot. It was shot Q4 of 2017. So I'm going to leave it online and let's see how the predictions come true. As they say with economic predictions, only time will tell. So I'm going to leave this one online and make sure you stick around right to the very end of this video. I have an offer there for you, something that you maybe want to check out into some new construction properties, or maybe you want to book a consultation. Maybe you're just feeling stuck, need a helping hand on how to get unstuck, or maybe you're just a busy professional and you're just not sure where to start. I'm here to help. If you're interested, check out around this video that you're watching this. There's probably maybe a link that you can book a consultation. I free up a little bit of time every month for some of these consultations where I help busy professionals. I help aspiring real estate investors. If you're looking to take the next step, I can help. So make sure you enjoy this video and I'll talk to you at the end. All right, bye for now. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to tonight's webinar. So we're going to get right into it. But before we do get into all the charts and graphs and all the slides and all the economic information and the update that you're looking for, first and foremost, make sure you just maybe silence your devices. You know, we're going to be about an hour. So make sure you put your computer on do not disturb and your phones and everything. So try your best to not be disturbed for the next hour. I'm going to go through this as quick as I can, but there's a lot to go through and I just want to make sure that we cover all the points and I want to make sure you're focused right through to the end. So if you're on this webinar where you're interested in Alberta real estate, and I'll tell you what, every day we get questions all the time about should I buy, should I sell, should I hold? We're active in the marketplace on a daily basis and we get these questions each and every day. So I'm going to try my best tonight to do my best economic update into what's going on in the Alberta marketplace, and hopefully at the end of this presentation, you'll be able to answer for yourself which direction you should go. I know what I'm doing. I know what our team is doing. I know what our builders and our developers are doing, but each of us has our own goals and dreams and aspirations and things like that. But hopefully the information I'm going to give you tonight will help you make that decision. So first of all, I just wanted to welcome you. This is one of the first webinars that we're putting on. And I'll tell you what, there's a chat box on the side. If you like this type of a webinar, make sure you give some feedback along the way. I'm thinking about maybe doing something like on every Wednesday of just doing an open forum webinar. If you want to see more of these kind of things, just by all means, let me know. Pop it into the chat box. We're going to engage throughout this. We're going to put in some surveys and I'm going to have the chat and it's going to be lots of fun. But if you're interested in more information about these kind of webinars, please let me know. I just wanted to welcome you and I wanted to thank you for taking your time. This is an investment of your time this evening. So just wanted to make sure that I honor that. And you know what? I'm going to play full out. I'm going to offer as much as I can and I'm going to just put it into a really tight time frame. And hopefully you walk away with this with some incredible insights and some knowledge out of that as well. Well, I'll tell you what, each and every one of us that are on this line, we're here to be educated because as Benjamin Franklin says, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest, and he should know, right? So we're here. It's going to be 100% an education focused event. And towards the very end, I have something that I wanted to share with you, something that you are actually going to be one of the first groups of people to hear all about. So some pretty cool things. So make sure you stick around right to the very end. Whew, what a big question. Should I buy, sell, or hold? So I'm pretty sure everybody on this webinar tonight has either an interest or you're looking at the Alberta real estate market. So really, if you are here, the first question I want to do is I want to make this engaging. I want to ask you why you're here. So maybe pop into the chat box on the side. Let me know why you're here. I think you fall into one of these three camps. You're either concerned about what's going on or have been concerned about what's going on. You're curious maybe about what's to come. And then maybe also you're committed. You're jumping in with both feet. So if you're here, maybe you've been investing in the marketplace for the past couple years, and maybe you even have a couple properties in the Alberta marketplace. You're looking for an update. You're looking for what's next? What should I do? How should I handle this? Maybe you're just looking for, do you buy, sell, or hold? So if you're concerned, maybe that's what the camp you're falling in under. Now, if you're in the next camp, maybe you're curious. Maybe you're just looking for what's the next market. Maybe the market you're in is at what you would consider at a peak market, that prices are sky high and maybe there's not as many opportunities. I don't know what your market is, but I know for a fact there's lots of people throughout Canada on this webinar tonight. So maybe you're looking for another market. Maybe you don't even live in Alberta and you've heard some rumblings about what's going on out there in Alberta marketplace. And you're also maybe wanting to do, is there an opportunity here or is it just all hype and smoke and mirrors? Or maybe you fall into the third camp. Maybe you're here because you're committed. I know many people who are jumping in with both feet. They can't get their hands on enough properties right now. Maybe you're just confirming your decision. You're looking for more information. Maybe even you're looking for more opportunities because you just are snapping up all the deals that you possibly can at this opportunity right now. So wherever you are, if you're concerned, curious, or committed, maybe pop that into the chat box of where you are. I just want to get a sense of what you feel for the marketplace. So tonight, here's what we're going to do. Here's my agenda for tonight. I'm going to just give you an update into what our team and what we're seeing in the real estate marketplace. I'm going to help educate you. There's a lot of education. Most of you on this call or on this webinar know that I love to teach. At the core, I'm a teacher and I love to educate. So I'm just going to sprinkle in lots of education along the way. I'm going to offer some valuable insights, some insights that myself, my business partners, and our team, only being in the marketplace every day, we can come across. So I'm going to offer some of those insights, hopefully ask you lots of questions for you to determine what your answers are for what you to do next. And then also clearly define what's your next step. What's the next step that's appropriate for you? And you know what? I always have fun. I'm going to tell some bad jokes. If you've seen my live presentations, you know that there's got to be a Saskatchewan reference. There's probably a Saskatchewan reference, a Star Trek reference, and a bald reference coming out in there somewhere. So I know people that have seen my live presentation are probably already getting a chuckle out of things. But before we do get into all the details, maybe not everybody is familiar with who I am. There's lots of people on this that are brand new to our family. My name is Russell Westcott. First and foremost, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a real estate entrepreneur. I love doing public speaking. This is just a new medium for me of doing live videos. I'm committed to create more content literally on a daily basis. So if you are interested, my contact information is on the webinar for you. By all means, reach out. I'm always open for an email or a phone call. Love to help out with wherever you are in the process of becoming a real estate investor. As well, I've published a couple books. Maybe you have read one of these books, co-authored one of these two fine publications with the team with Don Campbell and the Real Estate Investment Network. I was with the Real Estate Investment Network for a better part of 13 years, an unbelievable organization. So if any of you are ever looking for a organization that needs to help and educate you, research, unbelievable resource of professionals, by all means, check them out. One of my new business ventures that I'm just diving headfirst into is our team with the Triburn Real Estate Group. We focus on right now in the Edmonton marketplace. We target brand new construction properties. What we do is we help you, our clients, our family, our friends create wealth through well-selected cash flow in real estate. And really our focus and our aim is on brand new construction. Our expertise is on purpose-built rentals that are under warranty that you and your family would be proud to call home. We focus on townhomes, side-by-side duplexes, and suited homes. So we have lots to offer for you. And I wanted to keep that short. It's not about us, but what I wanted to do is give you a little bit of a background context about who I am and where we are, who we are, and where we're going. But let's dive right head first into the economic fundamentals. And I first want to share with you this slide. This is a slide that I borrowed from my good friend Dave Steele. Sometimes I use words that I don't understand understand so I can sound more photosynthesis. I'm going to be open and honest and transparent right from the beginning. I'm not an economist, although I do have a Bachelor of Commerce. I have taken a lot of economics classes. I'm not an economist. So I, do not have a fancy title behind my name, but what I do have is a title of getting things done and results. I've taken massive action over the years. And most importantly, we're in the market literally on a day-to-day basis. And we have insights. Our team could pick up the telephone to certain people and we could get some insights that some other people can't have. So although I'm not an economist, I have some street smarts and some real world experience that I'm going to share with you. A lot of the fundamentals that you're going to learn, this fantastic graph is the creation of the Real Estate Investment Network. For many of you that are RAIN members that are on this call, you have seen this. This is a creation by Mr. Don Campbell, a fantastic framework on how to look at the economic fundamentals about what's going on in a real estate marketplace. Really, when I look at this, there is a lot going on in this graph, and I think it's brilliant. When I look at that graph, what I do is I like to break it down and I separate it into really just three fundamentals. I look at the first fundamental is what's going on in the economy. The second fundamental is the people, what's happening with the people. And the third fundamental is what's happening with housing. And then what I want to do is between those three pillars, what is the middle of the circle of the Venn diagram to give you what's going on with the economy, what's happening with the people, and then also what's happening with housing. Now, the first thing I'm going to share with you is I'm going to update you on a lot of the economic fundamentals, and I'm going to be first and tell you that there is no such thing as a perfect market. Someone may say that this is a perfect opportunity. This is the perfect market. Everything's going, gangbusters, this, that, or the other. I'm here to tell you that there's no such thing as a perfect market. There's some markets that are on different levels of a cycle, and there's nobody at perfect and there's nobody at an absolute worst. So everybody is on a continuum, and there's no such thing as a perfect market. I'm going to share some opportunities and some trends, and there's also some things that are not forming a trend as well, but I'm going to try and do my best to go through all of them. So if we remember the Venn diagram, the first one we wanted to talk about was the economy. So what is happening in the economy, and specifically what's happening within the Alberta economy. So if you actually look at this graph right here, the blue bar is Alberta, and that is the GDP trend that happened at the end of 2016. Oh, grim, very, very grim. I'll tell you what, there's been some sharp contrast for the past 2+ years. So if you have invested in Alberta real estate, this is nothing new. You're going, well, yeah, sure, Russ, tell me something new. Well, that's nothing new. You have been living through the sharp contraction for the past 2 years. I firmly believe, and most of the people we've talked to, and a lot of the people and all the things that you read and all the research you see is the bottom has been found, and the bottom has actually been passed, and it's actually starting to be on an upward trend. It's now actually on a start of a growth cycle again. But, one thing I just want to address is sometimes the growth number can be a little bit skewed when you're growing off of a negative number. So I just wanted to put that out there. So this chart here is from our good friends with ATB, the whole team with Todd Hirsch and his wonderful resources of materials that they put together. If you do look at for 2015 and 2016, there has been a sharp contraction in the economic activity. But if you actually look at the blue line is now showing that there's now some positive growth and positive growth going forward into 2017. And that arrow graph that I showed you at the beginning that put out by the Real Estate Investment Network, when you start seeing churn and economic growth, typically 18 months later, it starts rippling into the housing market. So we're now starting to see growth happen in the economy. So really you're seeing articles all over the place. Here's one that just came out just recently, from worst to first, Alberta claims the lead in the Canadian Growth Survey. It's a survey of all the top economists across the country. Conference Board of Canada was in there as well. It's forecasted that Alberta's growth will be about 2.9% GDP for 2017. Remember, that's growth upon a negative number, but ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest, growth is growth, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the trajectory and the direction of who it is. We can't go back in time, but what we are is we make our decisions today based upon what we see that's going to happen in the future. So that's the forecasted growth for 2017, and the forecasted growth is still strong at 2.4% in 2018. Off of a growth number in 2017. So those are some of the key indicators on what's happening on the GDP, on the recovery, on the economic side. So really it is in the growth phase. This quote was a fantastic quote that I pulled out of one of the articles I was reading, was they tumbled so hard and they are now bouncing back. When they say they're talking about the Alberta economy, that they now can throw a small party. The worst is over. And I hope if you are involved in the Alberta marketplace right now, you would probably be nodding your head and agreeing with that right now. So moving on to the next one, here's a wonderful graph that a wonderful website that I found that talked about Alberta major projects. This one is, if you Google Alberta major projects on there, this one tracks all the projects that are happening in Alberta, both public and private funded ones that are of $5 million or greater. And this is just a snapshot of the Edmonton area. It actually maps out the entire province. A couple things that stood out to me when I went through this is right now in Alberta on the books, there's 234 billion. Well, that's the number's so large I have trouble saying it. It's $234 billion of projects on the books in Alberta right now. And of that, only $82.7 billion worth of projects are currently under construction right now. So what does this really say to you? If there's 234 billion in projects and only 83 billion are currently under construction, there's a lot more to come. So that's what I'm really looking for, is it isn't even half of the committed projects are even in the ground and that are even under construction. So there is growth to come from a lot of the projects. Now, as we always say, make sure that when it comes to these projects, make sure that there's always a smoke happening and they're actually churning the dirt and things are actually happening. If you are in Alberta right now, you can't have an economic update without talking about oil prices. If you really look at this graph, that was courtesy of the OWL, which is a fantastic daily economic insight from the team from ATB Financial. It really, if you look at it for the past couple years, the oil price has been really stable. It's been stable. It's been bouncing around. It has some lows around the 40s and highs in the the mid 50s, but mostly it's just been hovering around the $50 and a little bit under $50. And really, if you look at that, what that means to a lot of the oil producers is it really is not as lucrative as it was when the oil price was at, well over north of $100 a barrel. However, what we've been seeing in all the forecasts that I've talked to people and what I've been reading is that there's a lot of price certainty in the marketplace. And a lot of these oil producers, when they have price certainty, they can make decisions based on that. And another key thing that has happened is that the oil producers have now adapted to the new reality of around a $50 barrel of oil, and they have cut their costs, and they're actually trying to make a good profit margin for the returns for their shareholders at that $50 margin. So a lot of the oil producers have adapted and adjusted their realities. So that's really a look at what's going on within the economy. So the next fundamental pillar we want to jump into is what's happening with the people. What are the people within the economic underpinning? What are the people doing, and how are the trends forming within that? The first one we want to look at is population growth. If you really look at this chart and graph, population growth within Alberta, even during the downtimes of the recession, there was still a net positive inflow of people into the province. The one chart that you will see on what I would call the maybe the gold bar that was below is that there's been a trend over the past couple years of a net interprovincial migration. So I often joke that most of the people that have left Alberta are going back to the motherland of Saskatchewan, and they're going back to what's happening there. But there has been lots of jobs that people maybe came out for the oil sands from different provinces, and now they've moved back to other provinces to secure work there. But now those jobs are coming back. But to note that there has been a positive migration of people coming in to the number of for Q1 of 2017, our research showed that there's about 4,700 new Albertans that called Alberta home. So positive growth is great when you have people moving in. So when you have people moving in, the key thing you want to do is, are the people working? There had been a trend that led up to, and I'm going to share on the next slide about how this trend got halted very, very quickly, is literally for the last 5 months, there was positive job growth. In the Alberta marketplace, you look on the far side, those are all positive job numbers. And then all of a sudden in July, when the numbers came out, thump, a big dud. There was I think it was 14,000 jobs that were shed in Alberta. But here's the thing. There was 5 positive months in a row, 1 month of contraction in jobs, but overall net, Alberta has added 17,500 jobs approximately to the economy. So that's good. You have people, you have economic churn, the economy is growing, people are moving in, and the people that are moving in are working. So those are really key fundamentals that you want to keep following on and keep tabs on. So another key fundamental is unemployment. The unemployment still, although high at June at 7.4%, which is still one of the higher ones in the Canadian marketplace. But here's the good thing, is that number is starting to shrink. If you actually look on the other side where we talk about employment is growing, not at the peak or not one of the fastest growth, but growth is growth. So unemployment is going down, still high, but going down. Employment is still a little bit low on the growth side, but it is growing. Okay. Economic churn, people moving in, more people working, less people unemployed. Those are all good fundamentals pointing in a certain direction. A couple other things. So the people that are working, are they earning more money? Here's a chart and a graph that shows that people are now earning more money. And literally, this chart just turned around that they started actually having positive growth on wages. I believe it was in May of 2017, just recently this year, that there's actually been showing a positive year-over-year growth. So average weekly earnings is marginally up at about 1.7%. But the cool thing is people are moving in, people are working, and the people that are working are starting to earn more money. All good things. Nothing gangbusters, but it is trending in the right direction. So looking towards the next fundamental is consumer confidence. So why is consumer confidence important to look at? Consumer confidence is important, especially when we're going to be talking about the housing numbers very shortly, is people that have confidence in their work and their jobs and the economic situation going, will spend more money. And the more money people spend, they spend more money on housing, spending more money on renovations. They will then maybe consider trading up in that. They will maybe actually consider paying higher rent as opposed to negotiating lower rents, which we had seen for a couple years now. So on the consumer confidence side, if you look at it, vehicle sales are up. Restaurant and bar sales are up. And then the last one here as well is retail sales. So when people are feeling a little bit more confident in their jobs and confident in the economy, confident in the direction things are go, they will buy more vehicles, they will eat out more, and then they also will buy and shop more, which are all good things. So it's really showing that Albertans are continuing and coming back to spending again. So that's a look at the economy and the people. So GDP is growing, forecasted to lead the country, going from the last to first. People are still moving in. The people that are moving in are working. Unemployment's going down, employment's going up, and the people that are working are now earning more wages, and the consumer confidence is going up. Now, some of these trends are still really early in what we're seeing. However, they are forming and they are trending in the upward direction. You can have months where, just like we showed in the job numbers, where you can actually have a month where actually lots of jobs were shed. So it's still early in the trend, but a lot of the numbers are forming in the positive upwards direction. So let's talk about specifically within the housing market. So I'm going to talk mainly about the Edmonton market right now, but a lot of the other markets in the province are almost identical in what is showing as well. So if you jump onto the Edmonton Real Estate Board website, you can get their little infographics and all the information, but I'm going to just summarize it for you. Really, the summary I'm going to give you is flat. Really, nothing much has happened in the market. So price growth was flat. Sales were flat. Inventory has started to grow a little bit over this past summer. So there's a quote that came out from James Maybe, which says that inventory is strong for buyers. Marginal adjustments in the year-over-year prices indicate a stable market for sellers. So really, economics, if you look at what was happening in the economy, it's starting to grow, but none of that has actually transitioned into the real estate market yet. The real estate market really has been flat and nothing really going on. But here's the good news. For some of you that's maybe have been in the market for the past years, it's not declining. Some people have told us that they've had properties that have gone down in value over the past couple of years. Those declines have stopped. They've now started flattening out, and I'm certain that we're going to start seeing growth upcoming. But here's the thing, is if you actually are in a buyer's market or you're in the position to buy, that's actually a really good thing. Economic churn, economic growth, flat pricing. All good indicators of if you are in the market to buy right now. Okay, so moving forward, so still the economic indicators on the housing market is really the housing sales number is still falling behind the 10-year average. So this is a graph that shows average monthly or average yearly sales on a per sales basis. So it's really still falling behind the 10-year average, which means that there's not a lot of activity, which falls in line with what we talked about, the flat marketplace. The next trend that we want to show here as well is really the housing affordability index, a fantastic measurement. If you actually look at this one as well, it's put out on a quarterly basis by RBC Economics. If you look at just the Edmonton market, which is similar to all the regions within Calgary, is very similar, although a little bit less affordable than Edmonton, is the dotted line across the middle is the 10-year average for affordability around all housing types. Each of the housing type is below the 10-year average for affordability. So the market is affordable when comparing that to prices, the prices that you were paying for the housing. So fantastic report to maybe bookmark that on a quarterly basis is the Housing Affordability Index. The next one we want to lead is here's a couple news articles that just came out just recently and talked about that Calgary and Edmonton will lead the charge in Alberta. Is really interviewing the insiders, that insiders agree that the best places in Alberta to search for opportunities fall within the two largest cities of Calgary and Edmonton. Both Edmonton and Calgary, they are great buying opportunities right now, but there is no rush. And that's a fantastic quote from Patrick Francie, the president or CEO of the Real Estate Investment Network. Both Edmonton and Calgary, there are great buying opportunities, but there is no rush. So that's a really great fundamental as well. Now, I wanted to share with one thing before I moved on from the housing market numbers is there is really a large demographic trend that's forming. And that demographic trend is on millennials. If you've been a part of the Real Estate Investment Network for many years, you've been hearing about millennials, about this large group of people and that demographic on how it is growing and the speed that is growing. There's a survey that was just conducted just recently by Royal LePage that showed millennials buying intentions of if they want to get into the housing market, and then it also correlated that to how many of them already are in the housing market. So I've got a couple more points on that on the next slide here. But if you actually look at it, is this millennials. Millennials are going to change the landscape of the housing market. So what you want to find is maybe a market in Canada that has a younger population. And in Alberta, as Canada Canada gets older, Alberta gets younger because it is a very young populace there. So here's a graph of the major metropolitan cities in Canada. The orange bar is Edmonton right in the middle there. Edmonton and Calgary are, I think, the three youngest major metropolitan cities in Canada are Brampton, Edmonton, and Calgary. Now, that is a good thing for a future demographic that you want to look, because here's some quotes that are from that Royal LePage study. Is the pent-up demand for housing from millennials is enormous. Whether they choose to buy, millennials will eventually and inevitably impact the housing market just due to the sheer volume of size. We expect the demand from this demographic to put additional pressure on entry-level housing and investment properties and also rental properties just through the sheer size of the millennials and the trends that are forming there. So if you really think about it, we talked about the economy, on how things are lining up in the Alberta marketplace. Economy is hit its bottom. It's bounced. It's starting to grow. You're seeing positive growth. The forecast is you're going to see growth this year off of a negative of last year. And then you're going to see growth next year off of a growth of this year. So that's a positive trend, is we want to see that. And then we talked about the people. Still positive migration in to many of the metropolitan centers in Alberta. People that are starting to get back into the workforce, are starting to work more. Unemployment's going down, employment's going up, and the people that are working, the wages are now starting to grow again. All positive signs. Each of those things then lead us into the housing market. And if you actually think about with the housing market is really nothing really going on in the housing market, which is really good. So you want to see the economy and the people. You want to see those things happen first, and then that is going to ripple into the housing market. So that's what you're going to see as well. So if I was to sum this up and give you my best in conclusion, I have two ways I'm going to share with you. I have some bullet points I want to share with you, but I also have an analogy. The analogy I would share with you right now of this is what I tell people what's going on in the marketplace in Alberta and specifically in Edmonton, is I think the wave is starting to form. You're not seeing big giant surfing waves right now, but you're starting to see in the horizon that the waves are starting to form. You're seeing a lot of the economic activity that the waves are starting to come. But now here's the cool thing is if you're a surfer, I'm not a surfer, but I love watching surfing anytime I've ever gone to a tropical vacation. The key thing when you're surfing is you actually got to get your surfboard in the water. So for many of us who have been sitting back and maybe we've been tuning up our surfboard and putting the wax on it and doing all the things of getting our surfboard ready for the next time we jump out surfing, you actually got to get your surfboard in the water because the waves are starting to form. But now that's not all you have to do. Is once you're in the water and you actually see the waves forming, you start going up and down, you start bobbing. You still have to do something because when that wave starts forming, you still got to paddle and kick and you got to go like crazy to really get yourself into position to catch the wave that's forming. So is there going to be this giant tsunami of a wave like we maybe saw in the 2006, 2007 marketplace? No, I hope that never happens again. That was unsustainable and we'll never see that ever happen again. But there's nothing to say that we can't get some really good waves that forming, but you got to get your board in position and you got to start paddling and kicking to then take advantage of it. So if I was to summarize what's going on in the marketplace, we've hit the bottom of the cycle. Technically, the recession is over from everything that we've seen and all the reports and all the economists. Everyone's showing that the recession in Alberta is over. And I say technically because there is recovery and progress of going on right now. But here's the thing when it comes in recovery. Anytime you start having a recovery and you maybe have hit a bottom, it's never a straight line. You may go up 1 month and down and you're going to bump and you're going to gyrate back and forth and up and down. But it's recovery is in progress. However, it's not a straight line and you're going to still have bumps in the road. As well, The other cool thing that we want to find out is if you are sitting on properties, and I have lots of properties in my portfolio right now. I've sold a good portion of my portfolio the last little while because I'm divesting some of my older properties and I'm buying brand new properties into certain marketplaces. But some of us that bought properties in the peak of the marketplace, the 2006s, 7s, and 8s, the prices still haven't recovered from that time frame. You know what? I often joke, I talk to somebody that there was literally a lost decade of some of the properties that have not come back to prices that they were, 10 years ago. But I'm still hanging on to them. The rents are now coming back as more people start coming back into the province, earning more money, can start raising rents again. The cash flow is starting to support it. I'm going to keep hanging on to many of those properties. However, some of the properties you may want to look at selling, but right now, a lot of the people that I'm talking to is they're looking at the marketplace right now as a wonderful buying opportunity. I'm going to put a caveat on that. It's a buying opportunity if you buy the right property in the right area with the right tenant. But sure, where are the right properties in the right area with the right tenant? Well, great question if you're asking. All right, hope you enjoyed that video. And like I mentioned at the start, pay attention. It was shot in Q4 2017. So the old saying, as time will tell. Let's see if the predictions hold true. So if you are interested in grabbing a property in the Edmonton marketplace, maybe new construction fits right in line with what you're looking for. It is like a breath of fresh air, especially if you're a busy professional and you got a life on the go and you got a business to run and you got a family and you're just looking at maybe a little bit better of an ownership experience, a little bit more of a hands-off experience. You might want to check out some of the information available. Plus, if you're also a real estate investor, maybe you're just a little bit stuck. Maybe you're not sure where to get going. Maybe you've already accomplished something and you're ready to take it up to the next level. Or maybe you're ready to 10x and scale this thing. I do set aside some times for some consultation. I'd love to be able to help you. If you're interested in booking a consultation, just check out around this video somewhere. There's probably a link where you can maybe set up an appointment. All right, look forward to talking to you very soon. Russell Westcott. Remember, #JVJedi. Bye for now.